Hey, good afternoon to you. Mark Suttoth, HurricaneTrack here. Sunday now, the 13th of July, 2025. Hope your weekend has been going well. We got a little bit of something to talk about. Might be sneaking into the Gulf over the coming days. We're going to look at that, what to expect from it. Otherwise, tropics are nice and quiet right now, and that includes the Eastern Pacific. So, without further ado, let's get started. See what we got out there. Hurricane Center just updated this info. There it is in the northern Gulf. At least that's the area that we're going to be watching for in the coming days. The actual incipient system is sitting over here. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a moment. But this is the area where it could go on to develop further. What is it? It's a trough of low pressure, just an area kind of elongated where the air is coming together. A little bit of a lower pressure there. Some convergence at the surface. You get some showers and thunderstorms. Focusing mechanism, that's a good way to put it. That is near the southeastern U.S. coast. Now, it is supposed to move westward across Florida, northern Florida, probably over the next day or so, and into the northeastern Gulf by Tuesday, where environmental conditions could support some gradual development of this system during the middle to late part of the week as it moves westward over the northeastern and north central portions of the Gulf. Regardless of development, heavy rainfall could produce localized flash flooding, and boy, do we know all about that in such painful fashion as of late. So, recon, interested in it perhaps? This is the plan of the day from the reconnaissance group down there at National Hurricane Center, and the outlook for coming up looks like on the 15th in the afternoon. So that would be Tuesday, somewhere around 26.5 north, 82.5 west. So yeah, this has got the attention of quite a few people, including us. So let's take a look at the bigger picture. First of all, you notice, generally speaking, a pretty quiet pattern across the Caribbean, the Western Atlantic, and the Gulf for now. The Saharan air layer pretty dominant down here, strong upper level winds over the Caribbean, and really no disturbances finally now in the Eastern Pacific. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So we're kind of in this in-between where the East Pac was very busy, and we are awaiting basically about a month from now when the Atlantic normally becomes more busy. We call that climatology. So we have to watch this. You get these old pieces of energy that come off the coast of North America, a little trough of low pressure, just any kind of a focusing mechanism over the very warm waters of either the Western Atlantic or the Gulf, and you can get development. And that's what we are starting to see here with our system off the Florida coast. So let's zoom in on it, and you can see this a lot better. There it is, this little surface trough sitting down here. Pretty good little vigorous spin right in here, maybe another one right there, but these are all weak and have nothing to do, just pointing them out with our feature down here. So we're going to watch this. There is some energy associated with it, low-level vorticity. That fancy word, it really could just mean framework. And you can see it right here on the vorticity map. There it is, sitting off the coast of Florida. Other pieces of vorticity out over the Atlantic. You look at that and you say, wow, that could be something. Well, it's up over much colder water, and it's not tropical in nature. This, though, is going to be over very warm water. It is now. It's going to only get warmer from there as this traverses across the Sunshine State and into the Gulf over the next few days. In fact, water temperatures in this area are running quite a bit warmer than the long-term average. Let's just zoom in a little bit here, and I can show you what I mean. There you go, the very warm Gulf, and even in the Southwest Atlantic, temperatures slightly above the long-term average. We'll talk about this more, and this more, this and this tomorrow. Let's just focus quickly today. I just wanted to get a video out today. Going to be traveling, getting back over to Wichita to pick up the Tacoma from this season's severe weather work to bring it back home. Maybe I'll be visiting down here somewhere along the way. We shall see. Our system that we're watching might have a lot to say about that, right? Zooming in even more, this is the actual sea surface temperature pattern for the Gulf. Look at that, 30 degrees Celsius over a good chunk of the Gulf now. 31 around the central states here, Alabama. I mean, we could even include parts of the Pensacola area where I just was last weekend with the family. 31 Celsius. You're knocking on the door of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So once this does swing through and get out over these open, warm waters, I tell you what, if the pattern supports it, and what I mean by that, if the upper levels don't tear it apart, if it stays out over the water long enough, doesn't have too much land interaction, and there's not much dry air around, all these different things that we watch for, if all that comes together, we could have something more than just a rainmaker. But I want to emphasize, and I really think last year with Helene and then what we have already dealt with this year in Texas, North Carolina, with the remnants of Chantal, certainly Chicago, parts of New Mexico, rain, rain, rain. We got to put that right up there. When you ask what category is it, I want you to also ask how rainy is it going to be, because the rainfall is kicking our butts right now. And with all that available energy out there, that very warm water, this could be a big rain producer, and it's going to start with, unfortunately named the Sunshine State in this application anyway. It won't be so sunshiny as this comes across. But we'll look at all of that over the coming days, all right? But the setup is there for something more than just a big rainmaker, but nobody right now can put their finger on exactly what's going to happen. The computer models, the global models, we'll take a look at a couple of them here in just a moment. GFS and the Euro to be specific. Nothing really grasping on this just yet because we don't have a low-level center. There's just an area of interest right now, so we don't know a lot. All right, and I think it's good to be honest about it. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of how far this can go, intensity-wise. But I urge you to not worry about that unless we have to. We know it's going to be a big rainmaker because just this little piece of energy right here tells me that's going to be a big rainmaker all the way across through here and eventually maybe the northern Gulf Coast, maybe farther west than that. We will have to see. So let's take a look at the GFS. This is that same level of the atmosphere. This is 850 millibars, or about 5,000 feet up, 12 Z today. That means it was initialized at 12 Zulu time or 8 a.m. Eastern time. And we are looking at this general area right in here. There's not much there until later in the day. It finally does pop up a little bit there. A little bit. And you can see there is some cyclonic turning to some of these wind barbs in here. So there's a low-level framework trying to get started. And we already see that. I already showed you. So what happens with it? Well, it starts to get its act together slowly but surely going across Florida Monday and Tuesday. And again, I want to emphasize all of this yellow and these occasional darker oranges and reds in there. That's weather. That's sensible weather. That's going to put down a lot of rain, all right? And you got to be ready for that. You got some big cities down here, some big interstates. Rain is an impact. It certainly is. So this GFS, really not excited about it. Let's just stop at hour 72 for a minute. This is 5,000 feet above the surface. What does it look like in the upper levels of the atmosphere? Pretty deep easterlies coming across, easterly winds. Kind of strong, though, so this might have some shear blowing. Shear from any direction with a tropical system can be detrimental. But a big old heat ridge sitting over the southeast United States. This is on the southern periphery of that upper level high. So we'll see. These are not particularly strong winds, and if it is moving with the flow, 20 knots or so, and if it's moving at 10, I'm just speculating, then your actual shear is maybe 10 knots. 20 minus 10 is 10. So we'll see. That's just all down the road a piece. This is 72 hours, finally at 96. Let's see what it looks like. The continued deep easterly flow across the northern Gulf would suggest, it does have a possibility of developing a little bit more. The relative humidity in the mid-levels, not too bad. You don't see a ton of this brown all over it, wrapped in. This is your dry air at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. It's a pretty moist environment overall. So that's why the National Hurricane Center, going back to this, says that there is some potential. It says environmental conditions could support some gradual development. All right, we don't know to what extent just yet. So let's go back to this, reset the pattern, so to speak. Let me show you the Euro. This is from the, no, we don't want that. We want that one. this from the 6Z run today, this morning, and we get every 3 hours on this one. And there's the little impulse right there, a little reflection, and this is at 87 hours and so forth. And it comes in somewhere around the mouth of the Mississippi River, something like that. Now, here's what I would like to opine, fancy way, whatever, of saying my opinion on something, and an observation as well. So Chantal definitely overperformed versus what the global models were saying, air quotes there, right? It reached 60 miles per hour top winds, made landfall, brought a lot of rain and all the flooding we saw in parts of central North Carolina. The global models were not showing that just a few days ahead of time. It was a smaller system forming from sort of your not typical way that we get formation. Normally we get these big heat pieces of energy. We call those tropical waves, big sources of heat and energy. The tropical waves are much easier for the models to latch onto. These little surface troughs, they're kind of small, they're kind of diffuse. It's just harder. It is. The global models don't have the resolution to figure all this stuff out, which was what we would like, days in advance. So we're going to have to wait to see if something forms at the surface, which it probably will, and then eventually we'll get an invest number on this, and we'll have more high-resolution models thrown at it. That's just how the situation works. So for now, we will monitor, and we will pay attention, and we will wait and see what happens down the road. And just remember, going back to this, that is a pretty big piece of weather, right? And if you're going to be boating out here, this could be problematic. So just pay attention to this. It looks innocuous enough right now, but so did Chantal, and look at all of the mayhem it caused, especially up here in parts of central North Carolina. So it's more than just about what category could it be. Could it be a hurricane? We got to rethink all that as we go forward in the way we look at weather as a whole. We have to think about, how could this affect me? I've said it over and over. It's the one area in our society which I encourage you to be selfish. How will this affect me? That's what I want you to ask yourself. And then from there, you can help your friends and family. All right? All right. Like I said, I'm going to be traveling this coming week, but don't worry. Taking the laptop with me, and you bet I'll be on top of all this stuff for you. Another update tomorrow from Wichita, Kansas, and then all the rest of the week, right? And plus, tomorrow, in my update, a big announcement about something exciting that's coming up Tuesday evening. I'll tell you all about that tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Sunday. I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.